The coronavirus impact on stocks and companies and businesses around the world. With me in studio is Semai. He is an international trade expert and marketing VP with COB Smartship. Asaf, thank you so much for being with me. Internationally, in America, in Israel, across the world, so many companies rely one way or another on getting their goods from China. Their electronic chips, their medical device parts, little, whatever it is, plastics. Is this coronavirus epidemic going to change, or should it change, how companies do business?
Okay, so first of all, I have known China, and I've been doing business with China for more than 2 decades. When I began to do with China business, it's actually been done usually with Hong Kong. So I think that 2000 would be like the year that changed the business first of all, and the business began to grow and elaborate with China. But I think that China has grown through a lot of, let's say, obstacles during those 2 decades. First of all, if I look back, the 2008 revolution in the world, or whatever, or recession, didn't affect China, because during those days, China had like a very strict monetary policy, which the yuan, the Chinese yuan, was exactly the same amount according to the currency of the dollar. So I think China, this is the first obstacle. The second obstacle, of course, was the SARS, or it was even before the SARS. I will have been there during the SARS, and I might tell you that there was no panic or hysteria during that time in China.
But now,
with the corona, it's a completely different story, and I will tell you why. Because it's cross-changing the whole universe. I think it's a really new world order, and I will tell you why. Of course, it began with China and Wuhan and so forth, and we're talking about, we don't even know if the numbers in China are correct or are they accurate or not. And this is, of course, this is the Chinese policy. They always tell you what you want, what the world wants to hear. This is first thing. Secondly, as you can see now, as we are speaking now, Israel is closed to the world. And I'm also seeing that Italy is beginning to close. All the football matches are without crowd, or even they're delaying it. So I think that the way we are doing business is going to change.
But how is it going to change specifically? I mean, we all have iPhones and tablets, and it's all, there's parts that you need Chinese factories for, our cookware. Even in hospitals, the medical equipment that's being used to test for coronavirus, all of it at some point ends up in a Chinese supply chain. Can you break that chain?
Of course. Because first of all, let's say the world was depending, I would say, about 70% about the Chinese raw materials. Even now, in India, in East Europe, in Turkey, and even countries that are trying like to be, I don't know, to give something against
China, yeah,
some challenge to China. I would say it's very hard for them, almost impossible, because the Chinese don't have the raw material to provide them to begin to produce. So Turkey now, I'm calling the Turkish factories, I'm calling the Indian factories, the manufacturers, and they say, we're sorry, we are missing this specific part. So we have everything to manufacture, but I don't have this specific accessory, and therefore I cannot complete the product.
So will this change? Or is Turkey and India, are they realizing that they're so close to being able to compete? How can they get that one missing part?
I think the world was not ready for the corona. To tell you the truth, I believe that China has grown up to its peak like 2, 3, or even 5 years ago, and from there, I mean, if I look at the prices have gone 3 times up, from 2000 to 2020. So people have been looking for alternatives, but on the other hand, they were not looking for it full throttle ahead. So now they're in a rush to do it, and when you do things in a rush, everything collapses. I mean, all the world is not ready for a world without China.
Yeah.
Even China now is beginning to pick up, and they're starting to produce everything from start. They don't have the raw materials. I have orders for clients. The clients want this order in April or May. So the Chinese government, first of all, for whatever is needed for inside China, they asked the factory to make only for the local market. So some of the products you cannot get even started up until maybe May, June, or even July. So I mean, for now we already have 2-3 months, 2 months delay, let's say, more or less, because we had like the New Year of China.
Yeah.
But I think it's that if we want to talk about this, let's say, obstacle or whatever you can call it, we need to go back many years. Because I would say that the change in China began in the 1980s with Ronald Reagan, and which when he tried to make a new economic order and said that whatever cannot be manufactured in the USA, let's give it to China, let's give it to Malaysia.
And that was the origins here of the shift.
That's the origin of the shift.
All right, we'll leave it here. Asaf Shamai, with Marketing Vice President with COB Smartship, thank you for your analysis on the evolution here of the international trade and the impact on coronavirus. Thank you so much for being with us, Asaf.
Thanks a lot.